We are on Kufches 108, Masechta Shabbos. Omra Abaya. Haiman de Tolish Pitra Mu'una de Chatzva. We're talking about things that are growing from, that are cut off from their source of nourishment. So I guess there were mushrooms that were growing from the side of a jug, like a pitcher of water. Mm-hmm. And you pulled it out of there. Because again, that's where it gets it. I understand. You have a flower pot that is on the ground, and the flower pot has a hole in it, and there's something growing in the flower pot, and you pull it off on Shabbos, you're chayiv, because the flower pot is in connection with the ground. But if you have a flower pot without a hole in it, and you pull something from the flower pot, you're potter, because it's not connected to the ground. So the Gemara sees an analogy to the case of the mushrooms growing from a jug. It's also not connected to the ground. How could you be chayiv? So the Gemara says, "Hosam lav hainu revise." So buy a flower pot that doesn't have a hole in it. So it's not the normal way of growing, because a flower pot that's got a hole in it, so some of the roots go down that hole, or it draws up some of the nutrients from the ground. So if something's growing in a flower pot without a hole in it, that's not a derech gidula. But hacha, mushrooms growing in a jug like that, hainu revisa, that's how they grow. And since you pulled them off from where they grow, you'd be chayiv. Then the Mishnah said that if you wound a chayiv v'of, you're chayiv on Rav Yehuda. So we already said that the criteria that makes you chayiv for chavola on Shabbos is if it has or, if it has hide. And if the Mishnah said that you're chayiv for chavola if you wound a chaya or an oath, must be they have or. Therefore, says Rav Huna, koisvin tefillin al gabi or shel oif tohor. You can write tefillin on the hide of a kosher fish.
Bird.
I'm sorry, kosher bird. Shel oif tohor. Correct. Well, we'll get to fish soon. On Rav Yosef, so Rav Yosef might come ashmalam. I mean, what are you telling me? What's the chiddush there? The islay or? That it has high tanina, choyvel ben chayiv. I mean, we understand that it has or from the din of a choyvel ben chayiv. Armle abaya tula come ashmalam. No, there's big chiddush in here. Even masnisen, because if we would only have the Mishnah that says a choyvel ben chayiv, have a mina even the isbei nikvi. Low. Yeah, but these hides of a bird, because they have a lot of feathers, have a lot of holes in it. When you defeather them. And I might think that therefore that excludes them from being able to write tefillin on it. So Kamash Malon that no, you can write tefillin on it. It's not considered that the holes are a problem. Kidami b'marava, like they said in Eretz Yisrael, kol nekev shadyo overes alav eno nekev. If you can take a pen and write on it, and the ink writes, it doesn't sort of get stuck in the hole. If it passes over it freely, it's not considered a disqualifying nekev. Meisvei Rav Zera. They asked a question. It says by Korban Ola, it says, V'shisa oso bichnafav lo yavdil. By a bird Ola, there's a way of preparing that by its wings. And and Lahachshir sa'or. This pasuk teaches me that contrary to an olas behema, where if you offer a cow or a sheep as an olah, you remove the hide before you put the basar onto the mizbeach. In fact, the hides of an olah are given to the kohanim. That's one of the matnos kahuna, that the kohanim were given the hides. They were not put on the mizbeach. But by an olah ha'of, according to this limud from the Baraisa, that the or could also go up on the mizbeach because it says biknafa. Now the Isa gedaitik or who, if you're telling me that a bird has or, hechimar bilekra, normally or is not put on the mizbeach. Must be they don't have or, and the or is it's a kasha on our limud so far that the chura, a bird has the same kind of or like a regular animal. Armale abaya orhu v'rachmona ravia. Yeah, it is or. We don't put or the hide onto the mizbeach, but in this case, the Torah included it and made a special dispensation in this case. But it's not to say that it's not considered or. Ikedi Amri. Other people learn this dialogue a little differently. That on Rav Zera Afani Nami Tanina, Rav Zera says, I have support for the concept that it's or, because it says Biknafav by the or Ola, the Rabbos is or. Tell me that in the case of a bird Ola, I can put the or on the mizbeach. Now, Iyamid Bishlam or who, so that actually proves the point. Because if you tell me that a bird has or, that's why the Torah had to write a special pasuk of lo yavdil, biknaf of lo yavdil, to tell me in this particular case, even though it has or, you're allowed to put the or. Lav or. But if a bird did not have or, why would the pasuk have to give me the special dispensation to say, oh, in this case you can put the or on? There's no or. So that's why you can put it on. So Amalei Abai, that's not a raya. I could still tell you that it's not considered or on a bird. Because I would have thought, I still would have needed the pasuk, because even the ispe pirtzi. It's got a lot of holes in it, and I would have thought it's not appropriate to be makrivit, kamash malon, that you can be makriv that or as well. Can you write tefillin on the skin of a kosher fish? Amr lo im yavo Eliyahu v'yoymar. You know what? When Eliyahu comes, he'll tell us. And what does that mean? My im yavo Eliyahu v'yoymar. What are we waiting for Eliyahu for? To tell me whether a fish his skin is considered or not? We see it with our own eyes that they have or. Another answer, Hatnan, Atzmoy Sadan, the oro, Matzilin Ba'ola makes. That if you have a fish and it's or, and you've stuffed some things inside of them in the room where a corpse is lying, so it will prevent the thing that you put inside from getting tumah. The or is shomer it and is a chatzitza in front of the tumah. Obviously, though, it's stated oro, that a fish has or. So what do we need Eliyahu for? Elim yavo Eliyahu v'yoymar We have to know if the sort of ruach ra called zuama has gone away from them, like it has for other animals. So you could use tefillin. In fact, the Shulchan Aruch says, "Ein koisvin sifrei Torah v'tashmishay kodesh al gabi oradan," because the Gemara left it as a suffix. Right? We didn't answer it here. You can write sifrei kodesh, mezuzahs, and tefillin on the hide of a kosher bird, but not on kosher fish. Shmuel v'Kaina havayasvi aguda dinar malka. Shmuel and Kaina were sitting on the banks of the river Malka. This is in Bavel.
Euphrates.
Bus?
Euphrates.
Okay. Chazinu l'mayim kadolu v'achil. They saw that the waters were rising and they were like sort of cloudy. This is a sign that a big Talmud Chacham is arriving from Eretz Yisrael. Remember, because remember when Yaakov Avinu the water, when a tzaddik makes a roshem, because the waters come for the waters rise in the praise of an Adam Gadol. And I guess the Euphrates drew its source from Eretz Yisrael. Rashi says, "I am Mashach from Eretz Yisrael above them."
But when the waters rose by Yonah, that wasn't a good siman.
But there was a storm.
Yeah, but the waters are rising, so maybe it was a tzaddik. The waters are rising.
So no, so there it says Sa'ar. It says it was like a storm. Like remember we had by Yosef when he arrived wherever the waters rose. So there Rashi says because the waters rise when a tzaddik comes.
I just want to go back for 1 second. When you go allowed to write on a kosher bird, and the bird it doesn't have to be shechted or anything. It just can be killed, and you can find a kosher bird, and then you can write on it.
No, you have to kill it. You have to kill it. You have to shecht it. Otherwise, it's a treifa.
And that's not what it said. It doesn't even if it's not even shechted. I think you're allowed to write on it. That's what I'm just trying to find out. Yeah.
No, because we'll see. It says Torah Hashem beficha. We're going to see it can only write things that are kosher. So
but the bird is kosher, but even if it's not shechted, maybe it's talking about malika.
No. Even you. First of all, if you write tefillin on a live chicken, you're talking about a dead, and you've removed the ore from the bird.
I'm not talking about live. It's dead. It's dead, but it wasn't shechted. I'm not talking about live.
Okay, so we're going to see. Koisvin sifrei Torah l'tashmishay kodesh al gabi oires nevelos utreifos shalmine behemes chayes v'oifos hamutar b'achila. We're going to have the Shulchan Aruch. We're going to have another limud very shortly to deal with this issue.
Okay.
Even if the animal was shot with a bow and arrow, therefore it's an avela, or it was shechted and they found that there was a certain mum that made it a treifa, you would still be allowed to use the hide to write tefillin on it.
Okay, sorry to go back. Okay,
so that's correct. It doesn't have to be fit for. It has to be a kosher bird in the species.
But not fit for eating.
But even if you couldn't eat it, we're going to see. But right now we haven't learned that halacha. The halacha is coming, but we're going to see that you would be allowed to eat it as well. You'd be allowed to write it for tefillin, even if it was a treifa or neveh. Which answers your question. That means even if it died without shchita, or it was killed in a way that made it an avela, or you shechted it and you found that it was treifa, it would still be permissible to write it on it. Even though technically you would not have been able to eat that specific bird because it wasn't killed in a way that allows you to eat the meat. But since in its species, this is a kosher bird that meets the criteria to be able to write tefillin on.
Does the same apply to a behemoth?
Say it again?
Does the same apply to a behemoth?
The same applies to a behemoth, correct. Koisvin Sifrei Torah, Litashmishe Kodesh, Agabe Oires, Nevelis, Utrefis, Shomine Behemoth, Chayas for Oifas Amutorim Bachila. Like the Gemara is going to, that's Shulchan Aruch, Aruch Chayim, Lamed Beis, Yud Beis. And Yoredei, Aresha,
That's probably why they can get such nice ritzuas, because it's all from the hindquarters of the probably. I don't know.
Well, remember, we're talking about the hide. The hindquarters is only that you can't eat the meat.
No, I'm saying, but the skin is softer there also. It's not only the meat. In other words, I'm not talking about the meat. I'm talking about the skin itself.
Yeah, there's more availability. Remember, because there's many animal. Yeah, in a chanami, you could, as long as you can get the hide from an animal, it doesn't make a difference how it was killed.
Yeah.
So there's more choice, is what you're saying. Okay. It's a sign that Autumn Gadol is arriving. And it was a siman that Chayish b'me'eyeh. He has intestinal problems. I guess the siman was because of the mayim was achurim. Because he was in Tsar. The Gadol Mailak Bula Ape Kamei, but the water is rising to be Magdal upon of the great man. Zil Toile Akankane. Go and check him out. Smell, that means it's like go smell a barrel of wine, because you can tell how good the wine is by smelling. So he told him also go and greet this new Talmid Chacham and see is he a big man? Is he a big Talmid Chacham? Ozol Ashkechele Rav. This was the occasion when Rav left Eretz Yisrael and came to Bavel, became the Rosh Hashiva in Bavel. Rav was a Talmid of Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, and then he came to Bavel and became the Rosh Hashiva in Bavel. And Rav is the junction point between the Tanoim and the Amoraim. Shmuel is clearly an Amoraim. He's from the generation of the Amoraim. And then, of course, we have Rav Shmuel. Rav Shmuel, they were the Baal Plukta of each other. But many times in Shas, we will say Rav Tanahu Upalik. That many times you'll bring a steerer from a Baraisa against the statement of Rav. Normally, an Amoira cannot argue with a Baraisa or a Mishnah. So the Gemara will sometimes say, no, Rav Tanahu Upalik. Why? Because Rav learned under Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, who wrote the Mishnah, who codified the Mishnah, was like the last Tana. So now this is the occasion that the Gemara is describing when Rav comes up to Bavel. So what did Karna? By the way, Karna was a doctor. There's many. So was Shmuel. There's Rayas. Karna certainly was a doctor, because there's many examples where they asked Karna's medical questions. Even Shmuel was a scientific trained person, because it said by Shmuel that Shmuel knew the Shvile de Nardoi to Shvile Harakia. He was familiar with the streets and alleyways of Nardo, the way he was familiar with the constellations and the orbits of the planets. So you're talking about at this time in Bavel that the Amoraim were extremely well educated, even in secular subject matter. It's interesting that the Baraisa had the story has Shmuel and Karna sitting together, because we know that Karna was a physician, and we know that Shmuel had scientific background. So it's not just Stamazoy that those two are sitting together, is the way I would learn Pshat, because they're having also maybe they're learning Torah with a scientific bent in a way. But anyways, Shmuel sends Karna to go be boichin Rav. Amar lei minayin she'en koisvin tefillin ele agabi or behemoth Torah. Where is the source that you can only write tefillin on the hide of a kosher animal? Amar lo d'chsiv Laman tiyeh Toras Hashem beficha. It says the Torah should be Hashem minamutar beficha. That's a riot to us that it can only be written on the hide of something that's from a kosher species, because otherwise you would not be able to eat it. The pasuk is in Shmos Yud Gimel. It says Vayalacha la'osa yadcha ulazikaron b'nei necha. It's referring to tefillin. Laman tiyeh Toras Hashem beficha. So tefillin can only be written on something that you could eat. Okay. They continued asking questions to Rab.
I don't understand how you learn out that limud. Torah bepicha, so the letters have to be in your pair. So I don't understand what's that got to do. We know that there's no transition between even a machshava, it's not mitzaref l'maisa. How is this mitzaref the Torah? I just don't understand.
It's a drasha. It's a drasha.
I don't understand Russia. Just it's like hard to understand that. How is that? Because it says that. Of course, we know we have to have it the Torah on our tongues, right, in our mouth or whatever. So what where does that come to that it has to be on a kosher animal?
So because he darshaned minamutar b'ficha that this tefillin has to be written on an animal that you would be able to eat. But he received it in the Sorah. Or it says go to the zakenim sheyeh bayamim hahem, which means in every generation the Talmidei Chachamim can use the midas shatoras nidreshes bahem to tell us the various halachas of the Torah. So that's a drasha that Rav they.
But it only applies to Kitvei Kodesh. To a regular book, you wouldn't apply that. Wouldn't apply.
To a regular book, you could write on anything. It's only Kitvei Kodesh that have certain criteria on a much higher madrega. So you might have thought, where's the? Maybe it could be written on anything. Maybe it could be written on the hide of a non-kosher animal. So Rav had a drasha minamutar beficha. No, you can only write it on something that you'd be able to eat. And it goes weiter. Minayim ledam shuhu odo. That when the ladies will come with a shaila about dam nida, they'll bring a kesem, they'll bring a garment that has a spot of blood on it. So what is the siman that it's nida blood? It has to be red. Where's the source for that? Shnamar. And for example, other shades, if it's brown, if it's green, then it's not. They're not tamei. Shneimar vayiru Moav mineget esamayim adumim kadom. It's a pasuk in Malachim, and he learns it over there that it's a raya to us. Gabi nidiksi. It's written over there by an Indian regarding nida. So and shachor is considered also adam, except it's aged a little bit. So there are chamisha damim, there are 5 shades, all of them have to be a shade of red that make them tum. And that was the pasuk that was his source. Then they asked Rav, Minay lemilish ba'oso makom. It says Yimol Bisar or Lasso. Yom Hashmini, Yimol Bisar or Lasso. So how do you know that the circumcision had to do by the genital? Could be maybe another organ. It doesn't say clearly. It says Yimol Bisar Lasso. So he made a drush. Ma lahalan davar she'osa pri. It says Nemer kan or Lasso. The Nemer lahalan or Lasso. It says by orla, v'chisavo el haaretz, unetatem kol eitz ma'achal, va'araltem orlaso es piryo. There it also uses the concept of that the va'araltem orlaso es piryo, that there's also an organ. So ma lahalan davar shosa pri, over there by fruit trees, it's clearly talking about a fruit tree, and a fruit is the sexual reproductive technique of a tree, that means the fruit has a seed in it, which eventually will be planted, and the evolution has created a concept, or the natural order of things has created a concept. Fruit is beautiful, so they knew animals would poke the fruit, and they would eat it, and then it would come out in their dung, and that seed would be planted directly with its own fertilizer. It was a way to spread the DNA. Trees, it is a mechanism for trees to be able to spread. Since trees are not mobile, so they use this concept of fruit to be able to spread their progeny. Avkan dover she'osa pri. So when it says Vaya bayom hashmini imo bsar or laso, it's the place that the human being makes his fruit, because that's how sexual reproduction occurs by the human. So that's how Rav learned that when it says or laso, it refers to the genitals. Freit the Gemara ema ozno, maybe it means you have to cut part of the ear off, because there's a pasuk that says Hine arela oznam, that there's a pasuk which references the ear. It's in Yirmiyahu. Hine orla oznam v'lo yuchlu lakshiv. Their ears are going to be sort of covered over, and they can't hear. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Ema libo. I skipped a post. Ema libo. Receive umaltem es orlas levavchem. There's a pasuk in Dvarim that your heart will be like you'll be a stone cold hearted person. You have to remove the thing that's covering your heart. So maybe orla refers to the heart, not the genital. Or ema ozno, the chsivine arela ozna. So the Gemara says no. Done in orla sot tamah me orla sot tamah. No, because by the it says vayom hashmini mo bsar laso. There's no descriptive word attached to orla, and the same thing by the orla of the fruit. It says varaltem orla so. So it's stam orla. Here, the orlas levavchem or arela oznam is a descriptive word attached to it. So we would preferably learn the drasha to the simple orla, which is by fruit, right? Darim orla tamam orla so tamam. Vein darim orla so tamam me orla shena tamam. Oh, so they recognize. So Amr le mashma. So Rav asked, "What's your name?" Karna. Amr le ye Rava to tepuk le karna be'ene. Rav was upset that this guy was, chepping with all these shilas, like he's giving him a bechina. So he said, you should have a horn growing out of your eyes, because Karen means a horn. He was upset. So Shmuel invited Rav to his house. Ochle nama desari, and he fed him bread made out of barley, v'kasa daharsna, and there's some kind of like oatmeal, v'ashke shichra, and gave him some beer, v'lo ach v'le beis hakisei, and I guess there wasn't a bathroom nearby, ki hechid l'shtalshtel. Now Shmuel did it because he had gotten the simon by the river that the guy had that Rav had intestinal issues. These things were good for that. But Rav didn't understand that. He thought he was torturing him. Layit Rav v'omar. So Rav sort of cursed him. Man de mitzarim, the person who caused me tsaris, lo luk milei bnei, should not benefit from his children. Now, even though eventually Rav understood that Shmuel was doing everything for his benefit, we know that a gzeira from a tzaddik that comes out is always miskayim. So the Gemara is telling us that in a chanami, I guess, and I think the same thing happened to Karna. He had some kind of growth from his eye, because of what Rav told him as well. Period. Kitanoi. So these drushes that Rav gave is really machlokes tanoi. Minayin lemilish bosumakom. How do we know that when it says to do mila, it's by the genital area? Nemer kan or laso. The nemer lahalan or laso by orla of a fruit tree. Malahon davar shosapri, avkan davar shosapri div Rabbi Yoshia. So Rabbi Yoshia learns like Rav learned. Rav Nosson Omer, einot tzarich. You don't need that drasha. Harayu Omer, the arel zachar asher lo yimol es psar or laso. Malcolm shenikar ben zachros l'nakvus. So the mila has to be done in a location where you can tell the difference between a man and a woman, which is in the genital area. So the different pasuk was the source. You don't need this limud to orla. Torah Koisvin tefillin gabi or behemoth tahora. You can write tefillin on the hide of a kosher animal. The al-gabi or chaya tahora. You can even a chaya, like a deer or a giraffe, any other kosher chaya, undomesticated animal. And here comes the kicker for us. The al-gabi or nevelus utrefus shalahem. Even those kosher animals that were killed in a way that made them a nevela, which is any other way than shchita, or they were shechted but they were found to be trefus, you can still use the hide to write tefillin. V'nichrachos b'sa'aron, the tefillin are sewn with the hair of these kosher animals. V'nisparas begidin, the various klafim are also tied together with their tendons. Halach l'mosh misina shad tefillin nichrachos b'sa'aron v'nisparas begidin. That's halach l'mosh misina. That sewing them together, the hides and the boxes and the ritzuos and everything, that's halach l'mosh misina. Aval, by the way, there's other dinim of tefillin that we're going to learn are halach l'mosh misina. The fact that they have to be square, the fact that they have to be black, those are halach l'mosh misina. Aval in koisvin lo gabi or behemoth tmeya. You may not use a non-kosher species, the lo gabi or chaya tmeya, and not on a undomesticated chaya. Then it's lomra gabi or nevelu trefus. Certainly not their nevelus and trefus. You can't use a behemoth tmeya or chaya tmeya. You can't use their hair or their gidin to sew the tefillin. V'zu she'ela shal baitusi echad es Rabbi Yoshua Garsi. Now the baitusim is another one of the groups. We know in Bayis Sheni, particularly at the end of Bayis Sheni, there was a lot of sectarianism, the Prushim versus the Tzdukim. Of course, you had the Essenes who moved away to the area near Masada, and the Dead Sea, all the Dead Sea Scrolls were found there because this was a splinter group called the Essenes, and there were also the Baitusim. The Baitusim were similar to the Tzdukim in that they didn't accept Torah Shebaal Peh. They accepted Torah Shebechsav, but not Torah Shebaal Peh. So a certain Baitusi asked Rabbi Yoshua, or how do you know that we don't write tefillin on the hide of a non-kosher species, T'chsiv? He gave him the same pasuk that Rav gave. You can only write it on something that is permitted to be eaten. So he asks our question. If you take a kosher animal, but you shoot it, or you find that it's a treifa, how can you write tefillin on it? You can't eat it. If according to your principle, Torah Hashem Beficha, it should be exactly the way it is. Anything that you can eat, you can write. If you can't eat on it, so why did you permit, asks this by Tusi, why would you permit eating, writing tefillin on a treifa or on a vela if you can't eat it? Amr lo, so Rabbi Yoshua answered, Emshul chamashal, I'll give you an analogy. Lama davar doimeh. What is it like? Lishnei bnei Adam, shenischayvu hariga l'malchus. Two people were given the death penalty by the king. Echad hargo melech. The echad hargo is paklitor. One, the king himself killed. The other, the hangman, whoever the executioner killed. Ezem and Meshubach. Which one is more praiseworthy? I mean, the one who the king himself took the trouble to kill, he was more praiseworthy in his eyes. Heavy Omer Zeh Shahargo Melech. So the L'chura, a behemoth that died, and it's instead of shechted, bidei shamayim, it's Hashem took him away. That's the nimshal to the mashal, and that's why the nevelas and treifas are permitted. So the Baitusi jumped in and said, "Elamiyato yeyachlu." Fine. You just gave me a raya why we should be able to eat nevela. You just said that it's more meshubach than if it was killed by a bidei adam. When we kill it, we're just the shaliach of Hashem. When Hashem kills it, it's Hashem Himself. We should be able to eat nevelas. Omer le, yeah, but at Torah Omer lo sochlu kol nevela. Remember, he's talking to the Baitusi, who's rejecting the Torah Shabbat Pelimudim. But the bedrock for him is the Torah itself. And it says very clearly in the Torah, Lo tochlu kol nevela. The Baitusi couldn't get around that. So even though misvara, you have a svara now that, maybe we should be able to eat nevela, what can we do? The Torah says, Lo tochlu kol nevela. Va'at amet yeyachlu, Amerle kalos. He agreed, he gave in. Kalos means, okay, yafe, Mishubach Tamza, he gave you, it's good smart. He gave up. Mishnah. Ein oisim hilmi b'Shabbos. Hilmi is very like brine. We don't make brine on Shabbos. Aval also is made melach, but you could put some salt in water to make salt water to dip it. And the toivel behen pito, you can therefore have something to dip your bread in. The nois noisam l'sachatavshil. And you put it, you can, use the mei melach to put into your dish. Amrav Yosi, va'alohu hilmi bein meruba bein mued. Understand? How can you separate hilmi and mei melach? I mean, hilmi is brine, so what? It's a degree. I mean, what's the difference? So eluhein mei melach hamutarin. So you know how to make melach hamutarin. You have to know sin shem lechatchila. You have to first put oil in it. L'toch hamayim, or l'toch hamelach, and so it's the melach has to be made a certain way. So it's not just a matter of an amount. So the Gemara still doesn't understand Maika Amar. What is this difference that the Mishnah wanted to know between Hilmi and Mei Melach? Ein oisin Mei Melach merubin. You may not make large amounts of Mei Melach. That would be Hilmi. Aval also who may melach muatim, but you can make a little bit. And Amrav Yosi, I don't understand. V'alohu Hilmi bein meruvim bein muatim, but if you're still making Hilmi, whether it's a little or a lot, so l'chora, that's what he said, that there's no hevdel. So the Gemara doesn't understand. Was Rav Yosi being machmir or mekel here? Rav Yosi la'as or lahatir? Or maybe lahatir. He was trying to be lenient. Midelok Tani, because it clearly didn't say Rabbi Yossi Oyser. It didn't say that Rabbi Yossi prohibited. So Amalei Rabba, yeah, but he did. Hamid Tani Seifa, the Eluhen Mei Melach Hamutarim. This is the way to make permitted Mei Melach. Mechlad Rabbi Yossi Lesor. Rabbi Yossi came to us Aser making any kind of salt water, whether it's a little, whether it's a lot. So El Amar Rabba Enechanami Lesor. Enechanami Rabbi Yossi came to Aser. The Chein Amar Rabbi Yochanan Lesor, that Rabbi Yossi came to be machmir. Tanya Mahachi, I'll bring you a brisa to support. Ein oisin mei melach merubin. You may not make large amounts of mei melach laseis l'toch hakvoshin shebetoch yistera. This is like small broken pieces of pottery, and I guess they would put they would put this kind of brine there to make to brine certain foods. Aval osahu memelach muatim, but you can make small amounts and like for personal needs, and therefore the ochel ben pito v'nosil tochatavshim. Amrav Yosi v'chet ne'mer shalalo merubim halalo muatim, because it's a matter of amount. Halalo asur halalo mutar. It's the same thing. Yoimru in all other malachas, they're going to say, oh, malacha meruba asura, malacha muatis muteres. So that can't be the get there. Ella elu ve'elu asurine. Rabbi Yossi says very clearly, both are prohibited if you're going to just put salt and water, whether you make a lot of it, whether you make a little bit, they're both prohibited. The only way to permit it is nosin shemen umelach. You first have to put salt in oil, or shemen umayim, or shemen with water, and then put the salt in. However, the Shulchan Aruch says we don't make a large amount of mei melach on Shabbos because it looks like ibud. It looks like the malach of tanning. But you can make a little bit, like the Tanakama. So we don't paskin like Rabbi Yossi, because Rabbi Yossi answered any kind of mei melach. So the Shulchan Aruch eventually paskins the leheter. Tana Rav Yehuda bar Chaviva, enoisin mei melach azim. You can't make fierce mei melach. Now my mei melach azim. Rabbi Rav Yosef bar Rav Damar Tavayu, kol shabetz at safa behem. It's so salty that an egg will float. Kama, what is that? What is the ingredients for mei melach azim? Amar by trade tilsi melach v'tilsi 2/3 salt, 1/3 water. Lamai avdilay. What would they use this for? Amar of Abaya l'maraisa. They would brine little fish like sardines or maybe lox. They would brine fish with this very strong mei melach. Tani Rav Yehuda bar Chaviva. Ein molchin tznon ubeitza b'Shabbos. You may not salt radishes or an egg on Shabbos. Because it's almost like makeh b'patish.
It's like cooking. It's like cooking.
It finishes them off. Shalosh v'arba chatichos yachad. Shamelech, Rashi says shamelech ma'avden v'nasin kashin v'avi tikun. That's how you prepare it, and we'll see whether the problem is visual, like Peter said, or whether the problem is makeh b'patish. It's being metaken them, and you can't do it on Shabbos.
Yeah, but it's not talking about dropping a bit of salt on it. It's talking about really.
No, it's talking about salting them. Yeah, we're talking about significant. And Rashi says shalosh v'arba chatichos yachad, making them, doing it in an industrial fashion, not just doing one for yourself. So Rav Chizkiah, Mishmei Dabayo Amar Tznon Asur Beitza Muteres. The radish is prohibited. The egg is permitted. Amar Rav Nachman the Reish Avim Milchana Pugla. I used to salt my radishes. Amina of Sudikam of Sadinan lay. Because I'm like damaging it. It's like a kilkul. But now, and therefore anything that you do like kilkul is not prohibited on Shabbos because you need melechos machshavos. And Omar Shmuel pugla churfim ali, because a very spicy radish is good. But kivan deshman lahadachi asa ula va'amar b'marava malchi kishri kishri. But when I heard that Ula said in Eretz Yisrael, they did salt these things. During the week, in bowls and bowls of it. Mimlich lo milchana. I didn't salt it anymore on Shabbos, but tibule vari matbilna. But I can dip it into salt water. So number one, the Shulchan Aruch says you're not allowed to make mei melach azim. 2/3 salt and 1/3 water. That's asur. And it's mutter. You can mutter. The Shulchan Aruch says mutter limloach beitzim b'Shabbos. You can salt eggs on Shabbos like a bias. Utznon lo yimloch harbe chatichos mimenu yachad. You should not salt many pieces of radishes together. Aval mutter litbol kol chaticha b'melach ufnei shochla. But you can dip a radish into salt, each one separately, and eat them. That's permitted. Tani Rav Yehuda ben Bar Chabiba. Etrog, snon, ubeitza. And etrog, the radish and beitza, ilmolik lipos nachitzona. If it wasn't for their external shell, and by the egg, we're talking about the white part of it, and then yoitzim b'nei me'ayin la'olam, they're very hard to digest. And it's because etrog and snon have a good klipa, it allows us to digest it in some part. But in general, these three types of food are difficult to digest. A human being never drowned in the Yam HaMelach because of it. It's so salty. Everyone is buoyant there. Arav Yosef, hafucha stom, v'hafucha mila. That means you got to switch around what he said. Gavrahu deloy tova. He's sure to understand. How are we going to medayik from him? That a human being there's never a human being that drowned, but other things do drown, like pieces of wood, balsam wood that normally floats. What? Gavru deloy tova b'kshur tova. No, that structure was not only this, but this also. Loma boy kishur. Not only will piece of balsam wood float, piece of balsam wood will float on any water. But a human being who will drown in every other water, in the Yam HaMelach, he will not drown. Now, l'may nafkamina, to what halacha do we need to know this? Kiha, for the following: the Ravin Avishakal v'Azla Chayd Rav Yirmiyah Aguda Diyam Adistom. Ravin was walking behind Rav Yirmiyah on the banks of the Yam HaMelach. Amarlei, ma'u lemimshi mehani maya b'Shabbos. Can we wash in this water on Shabbos? Amarlei Shapir Dami says there's no problem. Ma'u lemeimitzu lemiftach. Yeah, but if we go in, can we open our eyes while we're in the water? See, you're not allowed to do refuahs on Shabbos. You can't do medicinal things on Shabbos. So I guess it was thought that the Yam HaMelach was good for your eyes. So when he said, can I go in and wash up myself on Shabbos in this water? And he was told it was okay. He was like, well, what about opening my eyes? Isn't that a problem? Amarle Zulo Shamati. Specifically, the answer to that I didn't hear. But Kayotze Shamati. Something similar I did hear. Sometimes it was said in the name of Rav Masna. The Levi Amrin. You're not allowed to put wine in your eye. In the eye. Agava ayin mutter. But not necessarily in the eye, but on top of it is permitted. Chad Amar Rok Tofel, spit from somebody who wakes up in the morning. I feel agava ayin osir. Even on top of your eye, you can't use because it's more powerful than wine as a refuah. And to stayim davud Shmuel, I'll prove to you that it was the father of Shmuel who said it. The Amar yain b'socha ayin osir agava ayin mutter. From the Amar Shmuel, from the fact that Shmuel said shoyre adam pita bayayin, person can soak his bread in wine, the nosla gava ayin b'Shabbos, and then put it on top of his eye on Shabbos. Now the Shmuel Miman, who did Shmuel hear that from? Lav the Shmuel Miman must have heard it from his father. Or says that's no right. Shmuel Rok Tofel, this early morning spit. I feel like Gavayin Aser. The Shmuel Miman, who did he hear that from? Elam and Shmuel Miavua. He heard it from his father El Levi V'Lochada Amar, but Levi also said it. So El Chada Shmuel Miavua, Chada Shmuel Levi Enochanami. One halacha he heard from his father. The other halacha he learned from Levi. It's v'lo yadana hey mavu hey mi Levi. He just didn't know which one came from his father, which one came from Levi. Person can soak some kind of bandage for your eyes on Erev Shabbos. The noisel gabein of Shabbos, you soaked it because you're not allowed to soak on Shabbos. As long as you soaked it before, you can put on your eyes on Shabbos. The Ein Choshesh, it's not a medicinal. You're not going to be over medicinal things. Bar Levoy have a koi kamed Mar Ukva. Bar Levoy was by Mar Ukva. Chazina davamayetzu posa. And he opened his eyes, even though he had this thing on. That means he allowed the medicinal thing to flow into it. He didn't just put an agava iron. He opened his eye. Armor like Kulahad Vari Lo Shor Mar Shmuel. Shmuel just allowed you to put it on top of your eye, not in the eye. Shoch Rav Yanel Mar Ukva. Lishton Lan Mar, please send us. Send us some of these spices that Shmuel. Because remember, you see, Shmuel also must have been a doctor because he's preparing all these medicines. So they wanted the recipe of Shmuel to treat this eye disease. Shalach lei. He sent back Shadur Mishadun Lach. I'm going to send it to you. The lotemat tsar ayin on the people that you shouldn't say that I'm stingy. Elachi Amar Shmuel toiva tipas soin and chakras, having a little radish in the morning. Rachitas yadayim v'raglayim b'chaim b'arvis, washing your hands and feet in warm water at night. Mikol kilor shavam. Rather than any of these pharmaceutical things for the eye, this is a better approach. A little bit of radish in the morning and keeping clean by washing your hands and feet in warm water. Then all of these kilur. You keep your hands away. It sounds like the corona. Keep your hands away from your eye. If you put your hand to your eye, you cut your hand off. Yad lachaisim, if you put your hand to your nose, tikotzeitz. Yad lapef, you put your hand to your mouth, tikotzeitz. They understood in some ways perhaps the germ theory. Right? Yad laozen, tikotzeitz. Don't put your hand to your ear. Yad lachasuda, if you put your hand at a wound, tikotzeitz. You're gonna infect the wound. Yad la'ama tikotzeitz. Don't put your hand to your genitalia. Yad lefiatabas tikotzeitz. Don't touch your rectum with your hand because it also will. All of these things are going to create diseases, and this was like the Merck's manual of the time for people to prevent getting certain illnesses.
Ernie,
Yeah.
There should be b'schus the neshama of Leah Bas Yitzchak, my mother-in-law, sir.
Absolutely, the learning should go b'schus.
Today's the outside.
Leah
Today-
brother.
Yes, okay.
Amen. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
All right, bye-bye.
Happy fathers and grandfathers.